Good morning, brave awakened ones. This is Lady V here, Veronica of Higher Realm Holistics, empathic medical intuitive, certified integrative holistic health nurse, spiritual counselor, lightworker Sherpa, and energy healer. I was originally going to do a video about am I a lightworker or not? Because I got so many requests and I did get a download of information triggered to remember what to say in reference to that question, but I was shown this first. And it came to me this morning. I was triggered by my oversoul to remember this. And then I was guided to a website and a paper written by the University of Texas. So it's if you want to find it, I will put the link below in my descriptions down there, and it's at www.laits.utexas.edu. Okay, and the paper is called Sequential versus Synchronous Time. And I was told by my oversoul that whoever gets this, it will trigger them to answer that question, am I a light worker or not? And this is for all light workers, including forerunners such as myself. And it has to do with us working in those 5D energies and understanding the 5D energies versus the 3D energies. And the 3D energies are described as sequential time, and the 5D energies was shown to me as synchronic time. Okay, I'm going to give you a brief story about how this came about this morning. Firstly, I'm going to say that if you don't get what I'm saying, if it doesn't compute with you, think of me as, and this was the analogy I was given to explain this, think of me as a translating app. Okay? Anyone who speaks more than one language knows when you say something in a language in a translating app and it spits out the translation, many words don't come out in translation. And either you understand it or you don't. Okay, so think of me as that translating app because the information I'm getting is via telepathy. And I'm translating it into words. Okay, so things do get lost in translation. Hopefully, you'll get what I'm saying. Okay, keep that with you forever. Okay, you can have that one because that goes for whoever you're listening to, whether it's channeled messages. I don't consider this as a channeled message because it's my oversoul. It's me, remembering, basically. Okay, so it's about sequential versus synchronic time, 3D time versus 5D time. And how it came about this morning was very interesting. It was, I was doing a couple of readings for myself this morning via my tarot cards. And I was doing it because I was honestly anxious, not seeing things happen, wondering when is this going to happen? One of it being my reunion with my twin flame, and the other one being getting the money, the people, and the resources to start building in 5D. Because last month I received the message that I hit the 0 point, and it was 221. And I even made that message that, it's time to start building in 5D and I'm about to level up, which I did. I'm doing the webinars, which starts tomorrow. Okay, so I started planning my webinars the day after I received that message. That's when I was triggered to, webinars, which I never thought I'd be doing. So I thought, okay, but I know I'm supposed to be doing healing and learning centers. That's my big project. And I know that's supposed to start somewhere in 2019, somewhere then. And I was like, okay, where's the money to start doing this? And also, what's up with my twin flame, especially since we met up in the ethereal over the weekend when I had a real trippy weekend and I was upset because I saw what he was about to do. I was like, whoa, what the heck? Why is he doing that? That's going the wrong direction. And I didn't understand it. But it was, as I was doing the reading and not understanding what I was looking at, because it looked like everything was supposed to be working the way I saw it, but I couldn't see the time. And then my oversoul literally went, girl, you're thinking sequential time, not synchronic time. Synchronous time, synchronics time. And I was like, what? Like, I don't really know those words. Like, I kind of heard of the phrases, but exactly, I know it meant something that I wasn't quite getting. And then I was guided, I was shown the way it exactly appears on the paper, sequential versus synchronous time. And I was shown 3D versus 5D. I was like, oh, okay. So the minute I put that in, bam, this popped up. And it explains it. And it explains it from the view of the 3D eye, the 3D view, not the 5D view. And it's very evident when you read it. It kicks you right in the teeth and you really see it because the way they talk about it, they basically say in the paper, if you're not running on sequential time, you're fucked. Your life is going to be a hot mess. You are not going to make money. Your life is basically going to be about chasing your tail. In fact, the picture they have is Groundhog's Day to describe synchronous time. And they have, you have to respond to the rhythm of others. Doing many things at the same time can be a distraction. And in the end, you end up getting nothing done. You're obligated to give your time to others. And all this is in the negative, okay? And you have to wait on others who are deemed more important than you. Ain't that a trip? Like, they're really breaking down, like, poo-pooing on service to others. Big time. You see that? And the way they describe and put into words sequential time is they have a big title, The Best of Sequential Time. What do you know? And it's based on science. It's based on science and mathematics and the planets and the big galactic clock of the galaxy. The galactic clock. That's what it's based on. Complete lie. Complete lie. Like I said, 3D is topsy-turvy world, and it takes everything from higher up and twist it, puts it upside down. That's why everything comes out messed up. Time is money. They have all these quotes to describe sequential time. Time is money. Nothing is certain except for death and taxes. Sequential time celebrates youth and vitality, celebrates the capacity to earn money quickly. Now, ain't that a head trip? What are they telling you here? You ain't nothing but your age, and it's all about earning money. So keep you on that hamster wheel, basically, okay? That's what sequential time's about, and it's supposed to be a good thing. And anything, synchronistic is you chasing your tail, Groundhog's Day, you not getting anywhere, which is the lie of 3D. Like I said, topsy-turvy world. You see how they flip that thing? Now, how I almost got caught up in it was by, most light workers, you know this, you're shown the end result. How you get to that end could vary depending on the timeline you choose. And I already made a video on that about picking a timeline, because when I was in New York, like literally every other day, the exit to the job I was going to was disappearing. And I was freaking out because I had to take a side road and the GPS didn't work. It was crazy. Okay. And then I was like, why does this keep happening? And then my oversoul said very loudly, pick a timeline. Either you're going to do this or you're not going to do this. Pick a timeline. And when I picked that timeline, on my way back from work, the exit reappeared, and it stayed throughout the rest of the time I was in New York. I had to pick a timeline. So when it comes to the synchronic timeline, it has to do with the energy being right and reaching a tipping point, tipping scale. That's how it was showed to me, a tipping scale, and then things will happen. Think of like the great event energies. Enough of the great event energies has to be anchored in by us light workers in order to trigger the asleep masses, the asleep collective, to wake up. And we've reached that tipping scale. Okay? So that's what had to happen. So certain things in your life everything in your life, when you're running on 5D, when you get off the hamster wheel of 3D and sequential time, it has to reach a tipping scale. Enough energy has to build up for something to happen. Now, when it comes to the whole, my scenario, I was upset because I thought, I was running on sequential time. I thought, okay, I'm hearing it's supposed to be now and and it's like, it can come at this certain time, but these things must happen first in order for it to happen. I was shown everything very clearly. Like I was taken back, and forward. I did some timeline jumping this morning in reference to my life. I did some remote viewing, and so this has to happen in order for that to happen. Your reunion all this must happen before your reunion happens. And it all depends on both your energies. And since you're mirroring each other, suggest that you get to your own business and let him run his, because he's the divine masculine and his deal is the emotional end and the spiritual end. And my deal is the 22 end, the number 22 end, the building on 5D, the securing the home range, basically. The going ahead, like I was mentioning before, the sherping ahead, knowing that you're leaving them further down, but you're going ahead to build that home. That's the divine feminine role right now, to go ahead and build that role and build that house and get everything ready, because when they leave where they are, they're coming to you and you have to have everything set for them. It's like that parent leaving the country to go build a life in another country, a better life, so to speak, that's more stable, to bring their family over and everything will be ready. But meanwhile, that family's preparing too. They're doing their thing too. And you have to be willing to give up one to do the other, to know that you're going to meet up together in the end. So that really calmed me down, and that I picked the timeline. I said yes, because I was also shown and met. I was actually brought to the other day over the weekend to my soulmate, who I know. And I really like this guy too. But I don't feel that same connection. I really do like this guy. And I was told he actually has always had those feelings for you. And I was like, yeah, I kind of knew that he always had those feelings for me. But he's not your twin flame, and you could go with him, but you won't be accomplishing the same things. And you won't be graduating to the level after this life experience that you'd be expecting to go to if you stuck out and did this. So pick a timeline. So I picked the timeline. I surrendered to my oversoul to the point where I could say, give it to me hard, show it to me bluntly, which is something you have to do. If you're stuck, this is very important, okay? And this is a trigger video for everyone. If you're stuck on saying, am I a light worker? Am I not a light worker? What am I supposed to do? Okay, yes, I'm a light worker. So what am I supposed to do now? I don't know what to do. I'm in this in-between place. I'm at 0 point. What's my next move? I know it's something else. Give your oversoul that permission to kick you and smack you upside your head and be like, my ears are ringing like crazy right now. To give you surrender to your oversoul, where you could be guided via synchronicity. Run on synchronic time instead of sequential time. It's time to let go of that. So you want 5D, this is 5D. Okay, running on synchronic time instead of sequential time. So that's the brunt of it. That's the information I have to give in reference to this. So it's really important to understand that. Okay, and by the way, this paper was also referenced by Yale University Press and everything like that. Building cross-cultural compliance, how to create wealth from conflicting values. That's the reference. So seeped in 3D. Okay. So when you look at that paper, understand where it's coming from. And as a light worker, it'll speak volumes to you. And so will this video. It will trigger you to pick a timeline and understand the difference between sequential time and synchronic time, and you could start running on synchronic time. It's not easy. It really isn't, because you're used to watching that clock instead of following here, merging here and following from your heart, step by step, and feeling the truth. It's about knowing. You receive a knowing when these two things merge. When knowledge and your heart, especially not just your heart, but also here, your solar plex region, when all that merges, that comes into wisdom, and you follow your wisdom, and it's knowing. You follow your knowing. You just know. When people say, I just know that I know that I know, that's the point you have to get. And that's where I got this morning. I just know that I know that I know. So I won't be asking any more questions of, is it this month? Is it next week? What it's going to happen? Is it going to happen this week? General overview questions like, hey, what's up for me this week? What's going on with the energies, with what I'm working with right now on the way? That's fine. But to ask exact dates, no, because it's really depending on you. It's depending on a lot of other circumstances around you. Depends on whether you get certain things or not. Okay, so it's about surrender, whether you choose to surrender, picking timelines. So that's how it goes. Okay, so if you're interested in joining me on a webinar, my webinars start tomorrow, the 7th, and for this month of November, they run on Wednesdays and Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you could register and pay for the webinars on my website, higherrealmholistics.com. You could also book a private session at higherrealmholistics.com. And at the end of the webinar, like I said, because now's the time, because the 3D's gone, we're intermingling with these 4D beings. There's a lot of malevolent beings out there who don't want this to happen. It's time for us to put on the armor of love and pick up our swords, okay? So that's part of it, where we're going to be meditating, praying on that, and sending out that energy to cover ourselves and cover our loved ones and cover all of Gaia, cover all of the light workers. That's after the webinar if you want to hang out for that. All right, so Lady V out. Victory to the light. We already got this. All right, peace. Namaste.